I think it's the first time we've slept a whole night, which is just wow. I missed that. Like I really, really, really did miss that. And I think it was my daughter was so happy. She was like, I can sleep the whole night. There's not gonna be an alarm. We're like, no. And she's like 100%. I was like 100%, even though I wasn't really sure. But we both gave her like, yes,
Mm.
100%. And she's like, tomorrow's not gonna be any missiles. And I was like, no. And then she's like, and the next day, and then we were quiet, because me and my husband were just like, we can't. We don't know. Like, okay, for 48 hours, they're probably not going to be any missiles. After that, the Houthis are still back. Gaza is still
The Houthis.
there.
It's like it's an old band making a comeback. The Houthis are
No, but
making
the
a
Houthis
comeback.
are just it's one missile.
Yeah.
It's
Just
usually like
land in
doesn't do
Saudi
any
Arabia.
damage. It's like a
Right.
child's play. So I even like I
Mm.
sometimes leave my 9-year-old at home alone, knowing that there's a threat from the Houthis. But I'm like, Lily,
Mm.
if there's, there's the keys and this, and I'm like, okay with it. It's just, which is insane if you think about it.
I
I'm
think I
leaving my
think
child who's 9, she's old enough to be at home alone in her
mm,
room, giving her
mm,
instructions, just making sure we both go and make sure that the keys
mm,
are next to the door, that her shoes are on, that, she has the app on her phone for the siren. That's a
mm.
really major one. And I don't know if it's a good thing that she has it because it really freaked her out the last 12 days. That notification was just there was nothing soft about it. Nothing soft. It was just like in your face, beeping. I think the last time we got a British woman to read out what was happening, which was really funny, was the first time. Did you have that too? Usually you get the notification and somebody reads out loud,
Mm.
go to a safe
Ah,
space. The last
uh,
time, and I don't know if it was on purpose, maybe it was like a comic relief from the government. But the person who read out loud the notification when you get it on your phone was a
mm,
British woman, which was really strange. She was like, and she said it in
mm.
Hebrew and in English. I was like, why am I, whatever? The Brits are coming. They never
But
do.
by
So
the way, a social
they'll never
worker
come
will
to
be
save us. Hmm?
contacting you after this call.
No, but it was really funny. It was just there. So that, and then, so she slept. But she was very, very unhappy that she had to go to school today. Like I,
Well, isn't that just the strange part of it? It's like, oh, we're back to normal. I mean, all of a sudden, because the Pikuda RF, the home front command, their instructions became increasingly complicated. And, one warning, two warnings, three warnings, four warnings. And, that guy, Zvi Kessler, who's on Channel 12, this guy sitting there with a uniform and a kippah, and he's just telling people he's on the panel or somebody like him all the time. And now
Andy,
he's not there. Whatever, but now he's not there anymore. It's just like, and as you said, your daughter's going back to school, and the kids in my undergraduate I mean, I'm not teaching undergraduates, but undergraduates are going back to class. I don't get that. I don't get it. It just seems so impossible to me.
I think my daughter, after understanding that she's going back to school, I saw it in
Mm,
her eyes. She didn't say it out
mm.
loud, but I think she was thinking, maybe the war can go on a little bit more. She was just so disappointed. That was for her. That was such a shock because, and Wednesdays are like, she hates Wednesdays. There's this
So,
teacher that she hates, and not so, and she was like a double, like, it was like, no, on Wednesday.
you see,
I hate that teacher. So,
and you were
it was
complaining
kind of
about
fun.
the war, remember?
Yeah, I mean it's hard for I mean I think she was very happy that
Of
she
course.
could sleep. I mean, we all I mean really even
Mm,
2 days ago or 3 days ago, everything is a blur. Okay, everything like the
mm,
last 12 days are a blur. But three
mm,
or 4 days ago, we had a
mm,
night when there were notifications and no sirens. But
mm,
we all were on alert because so I don't even know what's worse. It's actually getting the notifications and going to the bomb shelter, or just in a constant anxiety that you're going to get the notifications and going to the. I mean,
mm.
before the ceasefire, we had like 5 notifications. So for 2 hours straight, we went to the bomb shelter like every 15 minutes and then stayed like for 15 minutes and then went up. And then there
Crazy.
was another one
That's October
notification.
7th. That's like October 7th, right? That's what happened on
I
October
don't,
7th.
I
You don't
don't
recall.
remember. All,
But
we're in a
by the way,
constant war.
we were in a constant war then. That's when you were
No, we're
sharpening your knives.
still, it's just people don't understand. They think, okay, a ceasefire, but that's a ceasefire from one, like there's a war going on. So there's no time for us to even rejoice. People, I don't know if people think that we're just like, we're very happy that there's a ceasefire. We are, but then 5 minutes later, there are bad news, and then we realize there are hostages, and then we realize the war is still happening, and then we realize that people still hate us. And then so we don't get
Mhm.
a break at all. Like there's no break. This country is so chaotic, there's just no break. There is
I
just
know.
the moment and trying to understand what's happening at the moment, trying not
Mm.
to lose our minds, trying to just function. It's not a very happy mental place to be.
I think the thing that many of us already knew is that Trump would do what he did, which is help Israel, in his mind, finish the war. That's how he looks at it now. And he expressed his frustration yesterday, um, because that's how he understood it. Many people have said, well, Trump is, maybe he's just playing people like he did when he said he was going to wait 2 weeks. If you don't know that was the real Trump cursing, then you haven't been
I loved
following.
it. I think that's what was needed. I think there is an
Okay.
adult that needs to come and just say to us and to them, enough. And I was just like, thank God somebody's doing it.
Oh,
Enough.
good,
And
good,
I
good,
think the
good, good.
F-bomb was where it was needed. And I'm glad he did it because it's just, to me, there needs,
See,
it's like,
I see. I don't really agree. I mean, I think that for everything that he does is transactional, and the transaction for him now is finished. And I think my fear is that we are now part of a story we don't really control anymore.
but we're
I mean,
never,
not,
I mean, that's life. I mean, right, but there's a ceasefire and
Hmm.
it's just, to me, it was, I mean, we all
Yeah.
kind
No,
of chuckled
I
when he
also,
did that. And we
you
were like,
chuckled as
all
much.
of
It's
us
not.
were just like, yes, good. Put them in
Yeah,
place.
but
Tell
you
them
don't,
to stop.
but you don't think Trump is Messiah. So for those that do think that
There's
or
no
have
Messiah.
fun,
There's no Messiah.
is that our official writing on the wall position that there is no Messiah of any kind? Certainly there is no political Messiah. That's for sure. But
There's no
for those,
Messiah, period. I don't. It's just
so one
it's a
second,
mute point.
we're now arguing about theology.
Maybe if you want to fight about it, we
No.
can. But no, I'm just to me, there is,
Mm,
we're not
right.
naive, right? There is no, and that's what I was
Good.
saying.
No, I
The
understand what you're saying.
idea of not having even a second to rest, even a
Yeah.
minute to just kind of say, thank God this is over. Let's try to finish what's happening in Gaza as
So
well.
people on the news yesterday did for 5 seconds, and as you
They
said,
did.
and then 7 people get killed this morning. Right. I think everybody's where we are. I mean, I was up till 12:15 and I realized I was staying up because I was waiting for a siren, because I've just been doing that. I just the theological part, which this is where I always feel like a freak because I'm not trying to convince you. I do agree with you. People who think of the political realm or the here and now as the realm of the messianic, we want Mashiach now. That's just fantasy and illusion. It is, and it creates, and it's a dangerous fantasy and illusion. So we agree on that, and we're not talking about theology. I don't think. We're just talking about the way in which some people look at political figures like Bibi, like Trump. And you were able to say that because you've come from us, you're not part of this Trump bandwagon. I'm just afraid that that right-wing anti-Semitism is going to reawaken in America. And that's part of I guess that's part of it. Yeah.
Um, right-wing anti-Semitism exists, and left-wing anti-Semitism exists.
Mm,
Anti-Semitism exists.
mm,
I,
mm. No,
you're
but 2 years ago we could have said that, And and we said, but they both exist, but it's the left that surprised me. I thought right-wing anti-Semitism, whatever. I mean, I think I said back then that in the long term, maybe right-wing anti-Semitism is more dangerous. I was wrong then, but if you say that anti-Semitism is a left or right-wing problem, then you're part of the problem. And I just don't think we know the power of of the anger of his constituency. And he hasn't done it yet, but he's going to turn. I mean, already. I mean, I just see him turning on Bibi. I see him trying to debilitate Bibi, which I think is not good for the country. I think he really humiliated Bibi. I mean, Bibi's trying to come out of it, but
I'm happy
we
that humiliated him. I'm sorry.
okay.
I
Oh,
I
I'm not.
I'm on the other side. I am not a BB supporter. I mean, I think
No,
people
no.
don't
I
realize
agree.
that, like,
You're
that
right.
people don't realize that a lot of people in Israel are not BB supporters. Whatever, do I agree with what was happening in Iran as in
Mm,
us destroying the nuclear facilities, of course. But, I think that again, and I'm coming back to, I think that an adult, you know,
mm.
was needed at that point to just
Good.
say,
Good.
yo, ceasefire, stop for both sides. And I think
Okay.
he needs to be a bit humble, BB.
Oh,
And again,
so
because at the
you're missing.
end,
Yeah.
there's no there is no euphoria in this country. I think
Of
maybe
course,
he's
I'm not.
trying to cause that.
I'm not saying it as a Bibi supporter. I despise Bibi, and I agree with you. I hope, from that point of view, it's good. But from the point of view of how an American president treats an Israeli prime minister, not good. I see the end result. Hopefully, I mean, Bibi before the comments was saying he's going to have a flash election. After the comments, then I'm not hearing so much about the flash election because he understands it was humiliating for him. And I hope as much as you do that Bibi goes home. Thank God you did a great job. Go home now. We're done.
Yeah, I know. I'm not there yet. I'm not even, I'm trying to pick up the pieces of the last 12 days. I'm
Mm,
trying
mm,
to rearrange my
mm,
life in a way that brings some sort of
mm,
normalcy to everyone. I'm trying to get rid of the anxiety my Lily, my youngest, has, and the
mm.
detachment that my other two children have. I'm trying to get back to work. I'm trying to just, it's not even about normalcy anymore. It's just about breathing.
Did
So
you did you exhale last night I mean, did
no,
you I mean, no, you have not exhaled yet.
no. And I think we're all, and I think that's also the thing. Like I said, I don't think anybody's I mean, they're trying to build up in the press this, like, the achievements and the
Yeah.
bravery, and I think none of us are really falling for this because it's not
Yeah,
like there's world peace now. It's not like, the hostages are
exactly.
here and Gaza have, the people in Gaza have,
Okay.
their basic rights. We understand that it's just, it's like, so nobody was, I mean, nobody was really happy yesterday, even though with the ceasefire. I mean, we were relieved. That's the word. We were relieved because that was closed, hopefully. But
Well, that's what I think there are these competing stories of closure. And one competing story of closure is Trump walking away and saying it's done now. And the other competing narrative is what we're seeing on TV all the time of, the great achievement, Bibi saying we annihilated the program, also trying to put a punctuation mark on it. And as you said, neither one of those stories are compelling because even though we're back to normal, it doesn't exactly, I mean, what does normal mean anymore?
our normal is very not normal. That this region is not normal. I it's the fact that I wake up and function as a human being with all this stress is really a testament to, I don't know, the physics. I don't know. Like, it's just, it's because you
You were
must.
wait, Ronit. You were about to say the human spirit, and then you defaulted to
No, I wasn't
physics.
about to say the human spirit. There's just, that was not, no human spirit here. That was not what I was trying to say. No. It's just, the need to breathe, to wake up, to put shoes on, to take your child to the school's gate, to say goodbye to her, to just be happy that she's at school and you can breathe, that you can just, have a space for yourself, and just hoping that the next step will come where there's going to be diplomacy between us and Gaza and I don't know. It's just
And we'll
like
get
this
the
is where I'm
hostages,
at.
and
I
we'll
don't
get
even know
and
what the next step
yeah.
is. I'm
Mm.
so now I have to think about that. I was, yesterday I was thinking
Yeah,
about not dying from the missiles. So now I have to think about, diplomacy and
that's good.
negotiations. Can
You don't have
yeah,
to.
that's our life.
Yeah, it
It's
is
crazy.
there is really no pause. I mean, there was pause from the missiles, but then but what and now the hostages again.
I'm really jealous of sometimes of the issues that are spoken in America that take up so much space, like the trans
Mm.
issue. Like I want that issue to
Yeah.
dominate the discourse here. Really, I do. I want to have, I want to talk about, I do about because it's just, I mean, it's important, but it's
Would you like a trans Israeli swimmer who's
sure.
winning all the competitions? Yeah, but that would work. That would work for
We're
you.
not winning anything. So it's not, I mean, Israelis, well, Jews are not very known for sports. I mean,
That is true.
there are some exceptions and we're very happy, but it's just, we're not the best. It is what it is. So, it's less about that here. But I mean, it's like I don't know if people know, but there are no competitions in Israel now because we're not allowed to have. Well, I mean, understandably so. What team would like to come here when their business threat and stuff? So there are no competitions. The
Mm,
league, the football or soccer league depends on where you're from. I think
mm.
was declared over before the official date
Oh,
because of
really?
of the war. Yeah. So because again, everything kind of your priorities, right, change, right? I
Sure.
mean, who
I,
has
I
time
wish I
now
wish
to think
I
about
wish they
sports? Who has time to
I,
think about competitions? It's just,
I, w- I was going to say who would have time to think about school? I mean, our students are back in classes today, and not if they're ending the basketball season and end the school. How are they supposed to go back?
I think it's
It's
really, no, I disagree with you. I think it's good that they went back. I think it does. I think kids,
mm,
A, adjust much
mm,
better than adults.
true.
So if
Mm,
and they only have 2 days left to the school year. And I think they need to see kids. They haven't seen kids in the past 12 days. Children, my daughter was completely disconnected from everyone. So
ah,
she's seeing children, she's seeing her teacher. There is a sense of
nice.
of 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 almost, I mean, I don't want to say normalcy because that word just doesn't, they should just take out that word from Hebrew dictionary. Like there's no
Well,
normalcy in
well,
anything
well,
that is
well, well, we'll,
happening.
we'll beep it. We'll beep it out when you say it. So you're
No,
okay.
but it's so I'm extremely happy that the children are back at school. I think it's important for their
Mm,
mental headspace
y-
and for their physical also. They haven't
mm.
moved from the couch. They've been, just watching TV and their phones. So yeah, I'm
Yeah,
s-
I meant in the university context, they were evaluating them, that we expect them to come and I think my colleagues are being really responsible at this. I'm teaching creative nonfiction. We have workshops. It's, the best possible time. Everybody's writing their heads off. It's great. But I think my colleagues are basically, saying, don't worry about, even though the university said exams as planned, I just think, we just went through this cr- very traumatic war. I understand what you're saying of just about the physicality of moving from place to place. And for your kids, which it's a different thing, it's just like saying the school year is actually ending and you're here. And I see that for the university as well. I just hope the university understands these kids that what they're going through.
yeah. I mean, sure, but isn't this part of resilience? You can't make
Yeah, yeah,
you
you're right.
can't just always,
I know, I know.
it's expected, it's hard. Maybe that will make people, because there's a leniency to it. If you give somebody just when you say, okay,
Mm,
we
mm,
understand that you can't do this, then they kind of draw back. But when you just,
mm.
it's a shock. But you have to get back to life like as fast as you can.
Sure.
And that's one part of it.
I had
Again,
three students in,
a war happening. So let's just, it's not like, again, there's
right.
war and peace.
No, I had three students in my workshop yesterday. Three of them were presenting, and as you said yesterday, they were in Tel Aviv, where they all live. You were up for hours in the morning, and I saw how exhausted they were, because they hadn't
So
slept.
it's,
So I think the answer is, as you're saying, is to encourage resilience. And and I more and more I do this with my class, and I never did this when I was a pure academic, as I was for so many years, is I use the opportunity to caption them, meaning to say, this is a courageous activity, what you're doing. And that is much better than I think what you're saying, the leniency is just being there with them. As I'm sure your kids' teachers, if they're halfway decent, except for the one your daughter hates, I'm sure they're there with them because that's what this country does. No?
Right, but it's like they had some Zoom meetings, like Zoom lessons, and she's 9 years old. She's very smart. And like the
Right.
class was, get me something in the house that's red, or and that was the lesson. Like that's what it's just like,
I know.
really?
Zoom is a
That's what
joke.
you're teaching
It's
her on Zoom? Bring
right.
something that, describes, I hate those, what you're feeling right now. So, it's just like,
No, that's terrible. That's terrible.
teach them, teach them stuff, enrich their lives. I get that the mental, thing is really important.
Uh-huh.
Talk about your feelings, but there's a limit to how much you can talk about your feelings. It's just
What
like
what
for 9-year-olds.
I started being less professional for 19 and 20-year-olds during COVID, and I I didn't ask them how they felt, but I was much more present to them, and we learned Milton also. I mean, we didn't compromise on that at all. And so
Good.
that's the message, is that we're here and we're engaging. I mean, and of course, Milton is a very good person to teach because he's
Big.
obsessed with the idea of what a teacher does and what the responsibility of a teacher is. Um, anyway,
We closed with Milton, as any
well,
podcast should, right?